Good evening. You're watching News on 2. I'm Amin Carlos. The Department of Civil Aviation, or DCA, has been directed to study the Australian Transport Safety Bureau's final report, which was released yesterday on the search of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. Transport Minister Dato Sri Liao Cheong Lai said this would enable the department to obtain credible evidence as to where the plane had crashed. Well, Dato Sri Liao said that the search for the plane cannot be continued if there were no credible evidence. This is to avoid giving false hope to the families of those who had lost their lives. However, the minister stressed that the government would continue looking into all possible elements to find any new leads. Dato Sri Liao also was responding to news reports on ATSB's final report, which said it was almost inconceivable and certainly societally unacceptable in the modern aviation era, with 10 million passengers boarding commercial aircraft every day, for a large commercial aircraft to be missing and for the world not to know with certainty what became of the aircraft and those on board. Dato Sri Liao said the report released by the ATSB was not the final report, adding it was only a search report. On March 8, 2014, Flight MH370, with 239 people on board, had dropped off radar shortly after taking off from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, sparking a massive underwater search in the southern Indian Ocean, which ended in January. Well, police reiterated today that recommendations against the Better Beer Festival was made as they received information of planned attempts to sabotage the event. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi Harun stressed that the objection is not related to any religious or racial sensitivities or political pressure. Now, the IGP noted that authorities have never objected to previous editions of the festival, as no such threats had been present then. He said that police will not compromise the country's security and will not risk the lives of the public just because of pressure from parties with personal interests. Kuala Lumpur City Hall recently cancelled the Better Beer Festival 2017 event, which was scheduled to be held on October 6th and 7th at the Publica Mall in Solaris, Duta Mas. The annual festival was supposed to have featured 250 different craft beers from 43 breweries worldwide. An Indonesian pirate was sentenced to 16 years in jail and 3 whips of the rotan by the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court after he pleaded guilty of robbing a tanker ferrying diesel worth 7 million ringgit on September 6. And the accused of 46-year-old Shafri Adnan from Batam, who was escorted to the court by personnel from the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, pleaded guilty in front of Judge Azman Mustafa. Based on the charge sheet, the accused was charged with armed robbery in a group on the tanker MGT-1, owned by Thailand-based Marine Global Transport. He was charged with robbing the tanker armed with knives and machetes, with 10 others, causing losses and fear among the crew from Thailand. 2 are still at large, and prosecution was conducted under Section 395 of the Penal Code and Section 397 of the same Act. On September 20th, 11 pirates, all Indonesians, were sentenced to 16 years in jail by the same court after pleading guilty to robbing the same tanker. The prosecution today presented in court samples taken from the urine, blood and liver tissue of Kim Jong-nam on the 3rd day of his murder trial. Now, the prosecution said the VX nerve agent, which the United Nations has classified as a weapon of mass destruction, caused the death of the 45-year-old North Korean in February. Now, the victim's bag, T-shirt and underwear was also presented in court when the head of the Forensic Pathology Department at Kuala Lumpur Hospital, Dr. Muhammad Shah Mahmud, gave his testimony. He performed the autopsy on Kim Jong-nam. An 11-page post-mortem report submitted as evidence in court yesterday noted that traces of the deadly toxin and its precursor were found on his clothing, eyes, skin, urine and blood. Reporters covering the closely watched trial in the courtroom today were asked to wear face masks to minimize the risk of exposure to VX. 2 women charged with this murder, Siti Aisyah, 25, from Indonesia, and Doan Thay Huong, 29, from Vietnam, pleaded not guilty at the start of the trial on Monday. The prosecution has charged that the duo, using their bare hands, smeared Kim Jong-nam's face with VX at Terminal 2 of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport on February 13. They face the death penalty if found guilty. While Malaysia has called on nations bordering the South China Sea to seek a common ground that will benefit all parties. And Deputy Home Minister Dr. Nur Jazlan Mohammed says rather than competing for total sovereign rights of the South China Sea, it is best for the countries to work together to settle the dispute.
Saya rasa sepatutnya conference seperti ini adalah sebagai satu medan atau sebagai satu tempat untuk dibincangkan perkara-perkara seperti ini, dan lepas itu perkara ini boleh diangkat pada kajian-kajian yang berkenaan supaya satu penyelesaian jangka panjang akan dapat dicari.
Dr. Nur Jazlan was responding on the ongoing feud over the South China Sea by China and Southeast Asian nations. China is claiming rights to the largest portions of the sea, including waters approaching Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, the Philippines and Indonesia.
The Health Ministry hopes that more Malaysians would pledge their organs, as the number is still too low compared to the numbers of patients waiting. And according to Deputy Health Minister Dato Sri Dr. Hilmi Yahya, as of August 31st, more than 21,985 patients were on the waiting list, with the majority being kidney failure patients, followed by liver, heart and lung patients.
Kita nak menggalakkan lebih ramai lagi mereka yang terlibat, mereka yang sihat ni, untuk kita ikrar derma organ. Dan setakat ni kita tak banyak, kita pusat untuk buat transplant ni ada 3 aja di Malaysia ni, yang kerajaan berjalan. Yang kerajaan berjalan, satu di Hospital Kuala Lumpur, yang kedua Selayang, dan yang ketiga di IJN.
Dr. Sri Dr. Hilmi said since 1975, a total of 2,047 organ transplantation surgeries were conducted involving the Kuala Lumpur Hospital, Selayang Hospital and the National Heart Institute. Organ transplantation is indispensable for kidney patients, where the cost of hemodialysis per patient per year is about 40,000 ringgit, compared with the cost of kidney transplantation of 30,000 ringgit.
Well, still ahead, the World Bank revises Malaysia's 2017 GDP to 5.2%. In today's biz, the 2018 budget is expected to provide special incentives to encourage local businesses to adopt the Industry 4.0 revolution. And according to Second International Trade and Industry Minister Dato Sri Ong Kah Chuan, it is an important move to maximize productivity and improve the quality of Malaysian companies.
Industry 4.0 for industry, for you to embrace. Actually, basically, they call it digitalization. You digitalize your process, automate your process. All this costs money. So the key is that you need to have market size to support your Industry 4.0.
The adoption of Industry 4.0 will create high-value jobs, especially in the field of research and development, as Malaysia needs a highly skilled workforce to enhance the industry value chain to compete with the international market.
The World Bank has revised Malaysia's gross domestic product, or GDP growth forecasts upwards for this year to 5.2% from 4.9% in June, on the back of a much stronger than expected actual growth of 5.7% in the first half of 2017. Well, originally, World Bank forecasted Malaysia's economy to only grow by 4.3%.
World Bank country lead economist Richard Record commented that the revised upward forecast for 2017 stemmed from robust economic growth and in line with continued favorable leading indicators of near-term private sector activity and confidence. Subsequently, the Malaysian economy was expected to sustain its current growth momentum into 2018 and 2019, albeit at a more moderate pace amid expectations of lower capital expenditure growth.
We're forecasting 5.2 this year and 5.0 next year and 4.8 the year after. That reflects our assessment of how we see macroeconomic fundamentals performing and the baseline scenario.
He said this in a briefing to unveil the World Bank's October 2017 edition of the East Asia and Pacific Economic Update today. Richard added that Malaysia's high growth estimated this year is due to the confluence of external and domestic factors. Growth in the region, however, was expected to slow slightly to 6.2% in 2018, primarily reflecting China's gradual slowdown.
Well, starting January next year, the Employees Provident Fund, or EPF, will compel new employers to use the electronic payment or e-payment system to make the monthly contribution for their employees. An EPF General Manager for Contribution Department, Azmi Awang, said the move was in line with the EPF's efforts to encourage all employers in the country to use the e-payment system to make the contribution. And prior to this, Azmi had also said that the EPF targeted 50% of the 29,000 employers in Sabah to use the e-payment system by end of this year. And he said the EPF had been deluged with positive feedback from employers who had been using the e-payment before. Vehicle set on fire outside military building in Paris. Their campaign in the Wushu World Championships on Tuesday with a gold medal in the women's duelian, or choreographed fight sets in Kazan, Russia. The trio of Foon Ian, Loh Yin Ting and Tan Cheong Min impressed the judges with their coordinated routines to earn 9.46 points for the title. Lucy Lee and Mia Tian of the United States took the silver with a 9.22 total, while Macau's Lee Yi So Cho Man posted 9.2 points for third position. Malaysia completed the world meet with 2 gold, 3 silver and 3 bronze medals to finish 4th in the overall standings. China won the overall title with 8 gold and 8 bronze, followed by Hong Kong, while Indonesia and South Korea finished joint third. Well, Youth and Sports Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has ordered an internal investigation on a 35-year-old coach arrested for allegedly raping a national diver. Now, the suspect, a coach for the national diving team, has also been suspended from duties until investigations clear him of wrongdoing.
In a statement today, Khairi said the National Sports Council, the Malaysian Amateur Swimming Association and Malaysian Olympic Council will run their own investigation on the coach. All athletes under the diving team will also be given counseling by experts as soon as possible. Expressing his sadness at the incident, Khairi also asked for parties to respect the privacy of the victim and other national divers. Police arrested the suspect on Monday after a national trainee lodged a report Sunday about her alleged rape on September 26. Khairi said that all agencies under his ministry have also been instructed to give their full cooperation to the police in their investigation.
Evening's edition of News On 2. In our top story, the Department of Civil Aviation, or DCA, has been directed to study the Australian Transport Safety Bureau's final report, which was released yesterday, on the search of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. Transport Minister Dato Sri Liao Cheong Lai said this would enable the department to obtain credible evidence as to where the plane had crashed. We'll be back with more updates at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching.